Yo, how's it going everyone, and welcome to my review on the Zotac Geforce Gtx 1050i Mini. This is the latest NVIDIA budget cards that target gamers that necessarily aren't looking to always crank up their settings in the games to a max and just want a solid performance, good frame rates, at reasonably high details with affordable cost. Say this is NVIDIA's competitor to the RX 460, although there is the 1050 that also competes with it. And there are people that also compare it to the RX 470 because they're not too far off price. But I'll explain a little why someone would choose 1050i over it. Here anyway, here's the front of the card. It looks much better in person than the images shown here on the website. It's much better in person. Here are the ports. You get an HDMI port, a display port, and a DVI port, so you can rock triple display and G-Sync. Here's the back of it. There's no back plate, which is disappointing, but it's a budget card, so you can't expect all too much. Anyhow, here are the specs. You get 768 CUDA cores, 4GB of GDDR5 memory, a memory bus of 128 bits, which is disappointing again, but it's whatever. Base clock of 1303 megahertz and a boost clock of 1417 megahertz. 7 gigahertz of memory clock, triple display support. A recommended power supply 300 watts, which is really good, and power consumption of 75 watts, which is why I say this card is more competitive to the RX 460, because this also is a card that powers just through the motherboard and doesn't require a power connector like the RX 470. So that's the reason why someone would choose this card over that. But anyway, that's enough of that. I'll give my final thoughts at the end. For now, let's get into the benchmarks. So first game I have here to test the Zotac 1050i is Doom 2016. I have everything at ultra settings. Only thing I've turned down is motion blur, which is at low. Anything I've seen SMA, chromatic aberration, I think I turned that off. And as you can see, I'm getting really good frame rates here, well above the 60s, going to 70s and high 80s for most of this test run here. And I'm surprised how well it runs. I'm running on Vulkan API, and surprisingly it runs better for me than the OpenGL API, which wasn't the case when I had a 750i. It was much faster on the OpenGL than the Vulkan, but here it seems it's pretty much not an issue for Vulkan. I think maybe because the extra VRAM gives it more headroom to work with, or maybe it's just stronger GPU, not sure, but it runs pretty well. And next I have Fallout 4, which I believe using fraps. I got a max of 54, average of 45, and a minimum of 20 FPS. So pretty good. I have everything at ultra max settings, except I think I might have turned down the shadows to high and shadow distance to high. Other than that, everything's on ultra, max settings on the anti-aliasing and the anthropic filtering, I think times 16. And while you do get drops around, if you're in city, that might be due to my CPU. I am running a 870K, so might be a CPU bottleneck here, but overall still pretty solid performance on this game. Okay, since I do not own Far Cry 4, I'll be using Far Cry 3 instead to benchmark with, and got pretty good results. I got 85 max, average of 50 FPS, and a minimum of 43. And as you see, everything's turned up to max settings, ultra, as much as possible, and the game still runs pretty darn good. Considering the max settings, it is still a very demanding game even by today's standards. So very good performance here. And here I'm testing with Battlefield 4 because I do not own Battlefield 1 yet, so unfortunately can't test that. But still is a demanding game nonetheless, and getting pretty good frame rates, maximum of 120, average of 59, and a minimum of 32. Indoors you get much better FPS, and the outdoor open scale battles like this one, you're looking at high 30s to mid 40s, which is still very playable, very nice FPS, even though those large scale battles with a lot going on. Again, max ultra settings, looks very nice at max settings, so very good performance out of this game. And last we got the Metro 2033 benchmark, not the Redux edition because I don't have that actually. But running this on max settings, everything max with physics on and depth of field turned off. Got really good frame rates of a maximum of 120, average of 55, and a minimum of 8, which is kind of bad, but it's, I think somewhere, I don't know where in the benchmark, I don't see the minimum of 8. Anyhow, I would say this will be much better on the Redux edition. That's much more optimized port than the original version, which is a little bit unoptimized, especially with physics on. But anyway, still very good and very solid performance. And that will conclude my benchmark, and here are my final thoughts. Okay, so what are my thoughts on the 1050 Ti? Well, let's first have a look at the competitors to the 1050 Ti. Let's look at the RX 460. And this card is also a card that can also run off just the motherboard, although there are overclock ones they can use with PCI connector for overclocking reasons, but I would recommend not spending the extras just for those. If you're willing to spend extra for those, you might as well get the 1050 Ti. But the ones that just require through the motherboard are reasonably priced. You can get them for about $100 or even less with mail and rebate. Here is a power color, $90 right now, and $74.99 with rebate, although I don't see stellar reviews right now for it. So it's your choice if you think it's a good card, but still, you got this offering. It's $106 or $100 here as one. So pretty good pricing on the RX 460 compared to the MSR price to 1050 Ti. And then you got the step above the 1050 Ti but more costly, the RX 470. Now why am I comparing this card? Because it's not that far off. It's only maybe a $30-40 difference between these cards. Like here is $165 plus shipping. So that's like maybe only $34 and you're getting twice performance, a lot more performance than you get the 1050 Ti. However, that can be said that it also requires a power connector, and if you don't have a power supply that can handle this card, then your best option would be getting the RX 460, or if you want the strongest option for that, the 1050 Ti is the best option you can get for a low powered, ready to go any kind of power supply. That's what this card is, the advantage of this card. Just like the 750 Ti, it can fit onto many current power supplies of current computers you get off any store, which usually come in 300 watts. And here I'm using the Jet site because they have a great deal. Use the 1515 promo code and you can take 15% off any graphics cards you find on the site. It includes 1050 Ti's, and I was able to get the Zotac mini one for a very good price of $126. So it's a pretty good fall off from the normal pricing of an RX 470. So me as a college student on a budget, it's a pretty good card and purchase for me. But also you can look at you need more. If you want more performance, go for the RX 470 if you have a power supply that can handle it. If you want the strongest GPU that doesn't need a power connector, 1050 Ti is your best bet. And if you want just a good card that's not too much cost, I mean even 140 is still a little bit much if this jet goes not more. I would get the RX 460 because of the low cost, but still, that's my final thoughts. It's a very good card. It just depends on what your budget is. If you're a really tight budget and you need a car, or you need a car that doesn't require a new power supply, this is it. So thank you guys for watching and hope you have a good one.